Are you feeling crummy during detox, or are you thinking about doing a detox? Well, we want to share some enlightening information that we've learned over the years of helping people with their health, helping them overcome health challenges. Detox is a big, important part of that. We're going to be diving into this subject in detail today, so stick around. This is the Prosper Nutrition Show where we want you to prosper and be in health. My name is Jason Steves. I'm a nutrition professional at the Nutrition and Health Center. I'm joined by Steve Steves, who is a certified clinical nutritionist and naturopath, founder of the Nutrition and Health Center. And we're going on 31 years now here at the Nutrition and Health Center. So we're a family, what is it? A family owned and operated business. And we've been, I'm trying to remember that saying that we've been trying to, yeah, okay, there we go. We are a trusted family business committed to helping you achieve abundant health. That's what we're committed to. We want you to achieve abundant health. So today like I said, we're going to be talking about detox and how you can kind of feel pretty junky when you're detoxing and what you can do about it to help yourself feel better. But this is an important subject. You've gone through challenges like this yourself and helped a lot of people over these 31 years.
The body needs to detox, Jason.
Yeah.
And we can't reach a higher level or get close to that word, abundant health, unless we are very focused on detox. I think about how the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the skin, there's so many organs of detoxification that are removing waste continuously out of your body. So detox is not something that we do randomly or that we do. It should be focused on every day. You have to drink enough water. You have to take the nutrients to activate organs to keep your system clean, because when the dirt builds up, then so does the body fat. So if you're gaining fat with age, it's most probably linked to the toxins you're exposed to, the chemical processed food that you're putting in, or maybe the medications. So we got to clean up our act, and abundant health happens. That's what I've been able to walk in all these years. You know, when I was diagnosed, I had to learn about that. There was so many habits that I had that were tearing me down.
Well, and I think a lot of times people, when they think of detox, different people think of different things, right? Sometimes people think of detoxing from recreational drugs. Sometimes people think of detoxing from maybe like poisoning. They got poisoned somehow, or heavy metals or something like that. There's all these different ways that people think about detox, and there's different things that our body needs to detox from. So detoxification is something that it's a very important issue when it comes to our health. And there's a lot of different angles that we can come at it from. I think that your story is really helpful because you've dealt with detox at those multiple levels, right? You've dealt with detox from the pharmaceutical side, from the recreational side, and then I think you've dealt with a little bit of the heavy metals as well. So, but then you've also been spending time with so many people over these 31 years and helping them detoxify. I think you've told me a story that we had a client here that had lead poisoning, and you helped her detox from
Russia.
Lead poisoning. So there's a lot of things, and as you mentioned, detoxification is a natural process of the body. The body's constantly trying to keep us healthy, and one of those processes is to get the junk out, to detoxify. And so it's an important thing we need to support. Now, when people think about detox, they often think about some sort of like, I'm going to do detox for 10 days or a weekend or 30 days or what have you. And so I think a lot of people think about that as well. Is like, I'm going to do some sort of detox. And this is fine.
There's short durations where people can commit, like the Daniel diet. Daniel said, test us for 10 days. We're going to eat this way. We're going to clean up our bodies in a way that we're going to look different from the rest of the servants. And they did. And so when you have a purpose, you want to go to a higher level to get closer to abundant health. That's just a stepping stone. I want to do a Daniel diet throughout my life at different points to help reach a higher level. sometimes I pushed myself down in the valley and I need to get back up on the mountain. And it was a deliberate decision that I made. So I focus constantly on detoxing.
Yeah.
And the more that you do, the better. And it gets into fasting. I had the most amazing day when I fast. I did another fast this week and just in the morning do sea cleanse and then transition into doing barley, green, and water every hour up till the noon hour. Then had my smoothie at lunch. It was all liquid meal till late in the evening. But I felt so invigorated. And we were up in the hill country, so
Yeah.
we started traversing the mountains and it just had an amazing strength just from that purification I did in that morning. So you'll feel that
Right.
day to day when you commit to detoxing the body. And what's interesting, I was thinking about the Prosper Nutrition product. I know we have a detox bundle, and you probably do an offer
Right.
for that today, but I was
Yep.
thinking that, you know, our core four, or the magnesium, the choline max, the vitamin C, and our pure omega. All of those have to do with cellular health to allow the cell itself to detox. So your cells detoxify, even down into the mitochondria of the cell. The mitochondria can detox. So we want to be able to purify the body to do that. So really, could you name a product that we have that doesn't have some type of link
Right.
to detoxing?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Because the body, again, if the body, if that's a natural process of the body, and the body's trying to do that to help us to be well, then a nutrient that nourishes our body is going to support
Right.
that process. And
everything's involved in helping the cells detoxify. Vitamin D is involved. Even the B vitamins are involved in detoxifying as they energize cellular activity and hormone signaling.
yeah.
Then the body
Right.
does its additional detox.
Yeah. So here's something. So detox, there's different ways to look at it, but there's a process of detoxification, right? When we have something that gets into our body tissues that our body cannot use for the natural processes, it's a not self molecule. Some people call them forever molecules. There's different wording of these molecules, but they are toxic to us because they add a burden to the body. They don't contribute to the body's processes. So
that's a good explanation.
Yeah, but here's the thing, there can be molecules that do contribute to the body processes, but can become out of balance. And that's when we talk about these metals, minerals, those things. When those are out of balance, it becomes toxic to our body.
Good point, Jason. And that's a good reason why people need to get tested.
Yeah.
Hair mineral analysis, micronutrient testing, blood chemistry analysis, functional blood chemistry analysis, the things that we do to look at those levels of function to find out, well, how much cleaner do I need to be? Where do I have some leftover mercury contaminants in my body from the amalgam fillings that I had in my body for about 28 years and finally had them removed about 25 years ago? But are the remnants of that still in my system, or have I picked up some other type of contaminant?
Yeah.
I remember when we were doing the ELISA lymphocyte response assays, and I know the lab is under reconstruction right now. They're redesigning their whole process. It might take them all year to do that, but I relied heavily on those labs for many years and discovered toxins like my first tests were chemical colors. I was like, where are these colors coming from? They were residual from a cheap form of vitamin C that we were using. It came in a packet that had coloring agents added to it. And they were really upsetting my immune response. And then there was the year that I tested positive for Aspergillus fumigatus. I was like, what is that? And well, it's a fungal mold that, it's common in the Houston area. I thought, okay, it's common in the Houston area, but it was upsetting my immune system. And sure enough, we had our air conditioner break down a few months later. I think I was tested in March or May of that year, and by August, when our AC broke down, we had to get the unit removed out of the attic. And when they had the covers off, I went outside and just gazed inside where the
Hmm.
squirrel cage motor was, and the on the side walls where all the insulation was, where the air handler moved the air, loaded with black mold in there.
Mm.
So there are contaminants in this world
Yeah.
that are everywhere. And that's our job to find out what those contaminants are so you can root them out and then experience abundant life. It was amazing how well that I felt. And now we concentrate in the house on purifying the air,
Yeah.
ozonating to make sure that mold spores don't grow. And
Yeah.
then also we have an air dehumidifier. It pulls that humidity out of the inside air. And our air conditioners do a fair job of that, but you can drop it a good 15 to 20
Right.
more percent to keep it very low humidity. And that's why people in their retirement years move to the Phoenix area, right? A lot
Yeah.
of retirees over there
Yeah.
because of the benefits of that very low and very arid climate with a lack of humidity. People function better that way.
Right. Yeah. So these things that our body is toxic from, as I mentioned, so there's things we're being exposed to that are not contributing to the body's natural functions. There are things that are out of balance, metals, minerals that are out of balance in our body we're becoming toxic. So what do we experience when we become toxic? There's things that we will be experiencing
Okay.
when we get toxic, and these symptoms are often vilified. What I mean by that is the medical system creates the natural healing processes of the body to try to detoxify. The medical system calls those things the enemy. You're sick, you need to do something about that. And that could be fever, that could be vomiting, that could be loose bowel
Headache,
movements, headaches.
right? The body's reacting through detox,
Yep.
and it's not a bad thing. Don't stop that process. Don't try to cover it up with a drug or mask the symptom. Just let the body push through it, and it will. Man, I've got so many stories I could tell of
Yeah.
detox symptoms.
Well, and here's the thing, when people are exposed to these toxins, they experience that. But then if they suppress those symptoms with medications that further toxify the body, then not only are they still needing to have that detox from what they were being sick from, they're then also going to need to detox from the
The
medication
chemical that they were using to
to
block
block
the
that
symptom.
process.
So symptoms are not your enemy, Jason was saying. They are your friend. They're telling you something's wrong, something's trying to rebalance homeostasis. And when it gets rebalanced, you'll feel great. You'll feel better than you ever remember feeling, but let your body push through it. In fact, have you ever heard the term starve a cold and feed a fever? So when you get that fever, you want to feed yourself more ascorbate vitamin C
Yeah.
so that the immune system can rapidly clear out the infection and then the body temperature goes back to normal.
Yeah.
We found most of that happens in the GI tract.
Mm,
2/3 of the immune system in the GI tract. Of course, the GI tract is filtering out toxic waste
yeah.
via gallbladder pathway. Some of the heavier metabolites come out of the gallbladder, and a lot of people, 600,000 Americans a year, are getting their gallbladders removed,
Mm,
and the gallbladder causing discomfort is not a problem to clear it out. That's what we need to focus on.
yeah. Right. Well, and so folks, if you're experiencing detox symptoms, which many people are, what can you do about it, right? That's the question. It's like I'm feeling horrible. What do I do about this? You can do natural things to help you kind of deal with this. Now, again, we have to go through trial in order to get through this life. Like 10 out of 10 people die. You're not getting out of this alive, right? We're going to go through challenges in life that we can't avoid, but we can have tools to equip ourselves mentally and physically to endure and get through these
Amen.
challenges.
I like what Jesus said
So,
about in this world you will have trouble. but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. What's interesting, he lived in this world. He lived free of disease and sickness and illness, but he lived in a life so connected to his Father that not even all the pressures of this world affected him. And then he was crucified for his perfect life.
Well, and what I think he was alluding to, that overcoming the world is a hope for a promise that will happen. Now, with Christ and the Word of God, that's a hope for the resurrection of eternal life, right? That's the hope. That's the ultimate hope, right? Um, and but like there is hope for healing even in these physical bodies. And that's what we're talking about when it has to do with detox. You almost, where it says in James, where it says rejoice in the trials, you almost want to think, I don't feel good, but my body is doing something to help me to be well. And so you're going to get better at recognizing what is trying to do, like what may be leading to that problem, and what it's trying to do to be well. And so if you are a client with us, that you may be experiencing symptoms as you start to get healthier. Because a lot of people come to us, Steve, and they've been on medications for years, and they've been trying to manage their sickness, their illnesses for years, and then they start doing nutrition and they start changing their lifestyle, and maybe they stop doing some of their medication, and then they start feeling bad.
Right.
And that's something that we want to speak to is when that happens, what do you do? Now, you experienced this. I've experienced it. I haven't taken really many medications, but I've experienced it because I've eaten processed foods and sugars. And so my body has to get rid of that stuff. So I've gotten sick. But like how, when you have a client come in and they start getting healthier, they're taking their nutrition and they contact you and is like, these supplements are causing me to XYZ, and maybe they're fever or vomiting
Right.
or diarrhea. They say diarrhea often. That's one of the things. How do you share with them, the understanding of, okay, your body's detoxing, and how do you help them to kind of endure through that?
Well,
It's a lot.
I
It's
want
a
to
lot.
want to have fun with this
Yeah.
because you try to do it lightheartedly and say, this is something you need to endure. Your body's trying to purify itself. Once you energize the cell
Mm,
and get it to restore back to its cellular health and it starts functioning more like it was designed to,
mm.
you will aggressively throw toxins off. Think about this. Have you ever been around young kids? When they get sick, they get violently sick. They get fevers 105 and they're vomiting.
Projectile
They've got
vomiting.
diarrhea, and
Right. Yeah.
but their body is so healthy, it is aggressively
Right.
throwing off impurities. And then the little baby, usually within 24 hours, is really healthy and well again.
Feeling better.
And I've experienced that myself,
Hmm.
because my body is healthy. When I get off track, it'll
Bounce back.
purify. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
as little as 3 hours. I remember one time I was running a fever and had nausea so bad it caused me to throw up three times, and then I multiple eliminated. Had to get on the colonic system to
Yeah.
really release it.
Right.
And 3 hours later, fever's gone, and I'm back to eating normal food,
Yeah.
feeling great. But it was just
It wasn't fun at that moment,
yeah.
but right.
So
Yeah.
and it was just simply what I had overdone the previous 2 days with my diet. It was during holiday time, and I'd eaten a lot of fat food,
Mm.
which accumulated like a whole stick of butter in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
And that fat my gallbladder couldn't handle, and
Okay.
that was the result.
Yeah.
Cleared, but it cleaned house.
Well, and that makes me think of an important thing to consider is there are some people's constitutions are a little more sensitive than others, right? So your body's a little bit more sensitive than mine. We know that. Like we've talked about that. I can handle a little bit more meats, and there's different things I can handle a little bit more. And obviously, as we age, when our body is more years of burden on it, we're going to be more sensitive a little bit more than we were when we're younger. So that's an important thing to understand is there are people that have a bit more challenge than others as
Right.
far as these things. And so that is legitimate. But you can figure it out. And that's the thing that we want to encourage you in. Like you may be having detox symptoms, you may be feeling crummy, but you can be well. So what are some tips that we would recommend? There are some go-to ones that I think of, but I wanted you to share first of things that you recommend if people are going through detoxification. What are some things that you give them, some tips, some strategies to help them start feeling better that are natural, that won't add more burden to their body?
It's good point, Jason.
Yeah.
So step one is just hydrating better, a lot more water to take in orally, get in hot Epsom salt baths, let the body pull out toxins through the skin as best you can. Do a colon irrigation or just do an enema at home. That enhances hydration and helps that cleansing process to see it through. So that's really a primary first step.
Mhm.
But from a nutritional perspective, you want to up your game with things like show them our detox bundle if
Yeah.
you would. Ascorbate. So we'll induce a vitamin C flush with that individual. And so they'll start taking vitamin C every 15 minutes upon rising to get the bowels to really release and detoxify. But then incorporating some of these other components, of course, pure omega
Yes.
is a core four, and you just need to have that in there.
Well, that's something that I noticed over the years, encouraging people to, if they are experiencing some detoxification symptoms, to upregulate, to increase their intake of the omega-3 fatty acids, because that can help with certain levels of breakdown of fat soluble toxins.
Yeah,
Those are sometimes
agreed.
challenging for the body to get out, and those good fats can help break up those.
That's a good point. The
Yeah.
good fats will help you move bile. Your body emulsifies good fat by bringing it into the cell and taking it down to a smaller molecular size. But then the toxic fatty substance that's in the system of fat, that's in the gallbladder, builds up in the liver and in the blood and fat deposits everywhere in the body. We can enhance that elimination with more pure oils like pure omega-3. And then even the plant oils are helpful too, like
Right.
flax oil, chia seeds. I
Well,
I
on that
use those.
note, with the fat soluble toxins, there are some nutrients in the liver protect and nutrients in the liver detox that assist that as well. Because there's the lipotropics in the liver detox, the choline and inositol in the liver detox that really help with that fat
Yeah,
breakdown. And obviously, we've got a separate supplement that has a more concentration of choline. It's choline
yes,
max.
take
So if
that.
you need a little bit more help with the liver gallbladder, that can really be useful there.
Well, that's the primary. So it's
Yeah.
assumed everybody's going to be on that as a core
Yeah.
four.
Right.
But do I take liver detox? Yes, I take two a day all the time because I'm
Mhm.
still detoxing, supporting my liver.
Right.
And the liver protect, I take four a day. And so these are a
Yeah.
whole family of the fat soluble antioxidants. It really is kind of like a sister supplement
Hmm.
to the liver detox. If you want a 1-2 punch
Yeah.
for your liver, it needs to be in there because the liver is the master organ that does most of the cellular detox activity, the blood detoxing, and
Yeah.
pulling out the heavier metabolites of toxins.
Right.
Then, of course, a little extra bonus there with the brain detox.
Yeah. Yeah. So hydration, you mentioned that big, 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 huge. If you're feeling bad, down a glass of water or two, that can help so many different things. Um, we talked about oils, good fats, ascorbate, right? You were mentioning these things. Um, Salt, sometimes that can be useful. So there's different ways we can get salt in our system. Doing an Epsom salt and baking soda bath can sometimes be helpful, very soothing, get magnesium into your tissues through the skin. Very, very helpful for certain detoxes, like if you're having skin irritations, that alkaline minerals in the Epsom salt and baking soda can be soothing. Um,
Or in just pure real salt or sea salt.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
that you can do. You're talking about internally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that about taking extra water. We
Hmm.
had a client come in, it was her first visit. And she came in and she was just kind of holding her head in her hands, just, oh, I don't feel good right now. And I just thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get some water, big cup of water, about 12 ounces. And I put in a teaspoon of salt. And I said, drink this down. And she just did a gulp, gulp, gulp all the way down. And then she lifted her head up. About 15 seconds later, she went, wow, that's amazing. She literally went from like it was flipping a switch.
Yeah.
The salt activation, the hydration is so key. And why Jesus said, Mark 9, verse 50, salt is good. Let me guess, about half of you that are watching this feel that salt is a negative thing and you need to stay away from it. And I, that could be farther from the truth. All of that false information comes from the result of what people look like when they go in and they've been tested after a heart attack or stroke, and you see on their blood chemistry elevated sodium levels. Do you know why their sodiums are elevated? Not drinking any water to dilute their salt. So they're dehydrated.
Well, we talked about one of the things with getting toxins in your system is when have an imbalance of metals and minerals, right? And that's part of the issue is it's imbalanced because there are other lifestyle factors that need to be incorporated.
So that salt is so purifying, cleansing, energizing for the cell, alkalizing, which adds buffering elements to your blood, which help neutralize acidic toxins, and off you go. And you need salt also to help the kidneys to eliminate waste while you're drinking plenty of water, because people who drink a lot of water have very low salt levels, and consequently it'll affect your energy. You need to be on copious amounts of salt.
Yeah.
The body will deal with the excess. You know how perfect God designed the body and why he says eat salt for its good? Jesus saying that. Because when you start eating salty food, once you eat your plateau amount, your cells go, yeah, I don't feel like it. If you're craving salty food and you like the taste of it, your body wants it. So give it what it wants.
And by salty food, you're meaning salted vegetables, fruit, like different whole foods on our Mediterranean style diet.
My smoothie this morning.
Not potato chips.
Right. That's added sodium chloride. Right. Talking about using a really good quality. We like real salt. That's the one that we purchase in the stock here.
Yeah.
Because it's harvested from an old seabed.
Yeah.
That was embedded under volcanic rock out in Redmond, Utah. Pretty cool company. So we see the benefits of that multi-electrolyte formula that comes with the regular salt. Sodium is just one of the elements, but so important for body pH balancing.
Right.
And if I were to put numbers onto what I see from the labs that come in on people's blood sodium levels, I'm going to say 80% of the people have low sodium or on the low end of it. The ideal range being 140 to 144. Most everybody's going to be around 138, 139, 140, just hovering on that low end, just not quite getting enough salt. Powerful.
Yeah, so hydration, minerals, ascorbate vitamin C, essential fats, lipotropics or nutrients that are going to help break down the fats. These are all things you can do. Bathing in Epsom salt and baking soda. Now, there's some other things that you can do. Avoiding certain things that would add more burden to your body in your diet. So sometimes we'll recommend people go vegetarian while they're starting to get better. Or like you mentioned, fasting, doing a juice fast. That can be valuable. Or like a liquid fast. Some people will do salt in their water and they'll fast that way. So those are things that can help you kind of, obviously with exercise too. This is another thing. If you're detoxing, sometimes it's good to, if you like to exercise, do a lot of exercise, and sometimes it's to backing off the exercise will give your body the energy to focus on getting the strength back, but not doing nothing either. Because sometimes even exercise can help the detox.
Yes.
Because there's a balance. Like I notice for me, whenever I'm not feeling well, I tend to like really perk up and feel a lot better when I do some sort of exercise, some either mobility or walking or
Right.
stretching. And
Well, one of
yeah.
the things that exercise does is it removes an acidic uh, element in the blood, carbon dioxide, gets it out through the lungs when you
Mm.
start
Mhm.
breathing more aggressively.
Yeah. Yeah. So doing now, obviously you're not wanting to do an intense workout when you're detoxing. And that's the thing that you need to really discern is when your body's doing more detoxification, you want to move your body, you want to do some mobility, but you want to keep it on the low intensity level. And so with exercise, that's important. Now, sleep is huge. If you're detoxing, you need your rest. And so getting a good night's sleep is
Yeah.
very valuable. It can help you bounce back. Even one night's sleep. I had a client contact me the other day. She was struggling with sleep and she said, she had, it was kind of detoxing before I had talked to her the day before. And she just had a really good night's sleep. And she was like, I feel amazing. Haven't slept like that. Haven't felt like this in so long. And she had been feeling crummy the days before. And so she was able to really get a bounce back after that, restorative night's sleep.
It's amazing
Yeah.
because the growth hormone for repair happens at night. And when you're in that abundant health that we talked about at the beginning of the program,
Mhm.
your body does that every night. Like I can go
Mhm.
to bed totally exhausted from yesterday, preparing for people coming over, cleaning up around our property after we got back, worked hours outside in the heat and the sun, and then went to bed about 9 o'clock and woke up at 4:30, 7.5 hours of sleep, and reset, ready to go, do it again.
Mhm.
Fully energized, nothing was sore. And then did my heavy leg workout today with the
Awesome.
added weight to the split squats and
Nice.
just stepped up my exercise game.
That's great.
Looking forward to turning 67 this year, going to the next level.
Another thing that can be really helpful on top of exercise is stress management things, right? We talked about bathing, that's a stress management strategy, but doing deep, relaxing breathing,
Yeah.
that is so powerful. You can really change things in your mind, in your body, if you just spend 2 minutes of doing deep, relaxing, slow breathing.
Had a woman have an anxiety attack in the office. She said, I can't catch my breath. I had just walked in from the previous visit and I said, well, why don't you start breathing? And I gave her a breathing rhythm of 4 seconds inhale, pause 1 second, and then slowly exhale for 8 seconds.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
mental focus during that time on things that are good, things that are pure, lovely. Philippians 4, verse 8. Positive things. I had her focus on that. I put a screen up and it had some scenery and some Bible scriptures. And
Mhm.
she did that for 5 minutes. I came back into the room and her name was Julie. And I said, Julie, I think you're done with your deep breathing time. She said, oh, do I have to stop?
Mhm.
She was just so relaxed and zoned out. 5 minutes. Now, most people, you do 1 or 2 minutes of that
Yeah.
throughout the day at key points in time. You just reset. That's why we encourage John Eldridge's app you can put on your phone. It's called the 1 minute pause.
Mhm.
1 minute pause. I encourage you to put that on there and then do your deep breathing with it. The app looks like this. It's a little white button with two
The
bars on
pause
it. The
button.
1 minute pause, yeah.
Mhm.
And I do lots of 1 minute pauses. I've done over 3,000 minutes of pauses since I've had that app.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
we need to have our pauses.
Right. So I don't know if you recognize this, but we kind of went through what our 7 proven steps guidebook. You can download off prospernutrition.com for free. But the 7 health principles we develop our plans, our nutrition plans for our clients based off of hydration and water, food, exercise, sleep, stress management, supplements, right? We talked about all
Mhm.
these components to help you deal with detoxification. Now, there's a 7th one, and I think this would be a good one to kind of finish on.
Yes.
That is faith and family. We categorize it faith and family. You could call it relationships. our relationship with God and our relationship with others, our relationship with our Creator and our relationship with other
Amen.
human beings.
Fulfilling the great commandment, which means love God and love others, and then go out and share that. And that's what we are
Yeah.
at the core.
Yeah, so making sure that we do our part in having a good relationship with our Creator and with others around us, that will give us a peace, knowing that we've done what we can do, what we're
Amen.
supposed to do in those relationships. And, you know, everybody's got differing beliefs in regard to how all that works, but there are standards that we try to go back to in the scriptures of the Bible. And there are standards there that can kind of help guide us all to know what to do in all those situations with God and with others. And so we encourage you to study and read the Bible, and that can help you to a little bit better understand what you can do to help your body to be in better health, to help you respond to the detoxification challenges that we all face at different times, and you can prosper and be in health through these health challenges that you face. So the code to get a discount on the Prosper Nutrition supplements, if you're still watching, glad you're sticking around and get this opportunity. It is the date today, 6/6/25 show. And you'll use that code. It'll be for the next order that you place. So it will be good for however long, but you need to take it, use it for your next purchase. You'll put that as a coupon code in the cart when you're going to check out. But yeah, the detox bundle we talked about today, the choline, these are products that are really valuable. The magnesium.
Magnesium we didn't
Yep.
talk about, but so key. We did.
Yeah.
We said take an Epsom salt bath. That'll
Right.
help, and we need it orally continuously. So
Magnesium important. So
yeah, I'd like to pray over them before we go.
okay.
Heavenly Father, I just thank you for those that are watching. I thank you their desire to be in health and prosper, and that is your word that you gave us that we can stand on and believe your promises. But we want to hearken to your voice as you lead us, as you guide us. Speak into their spirit as they are quiet before you, Lord. Confirm these things, give them clear direction, and the promise will be fulfilled. Abundant health. The enemy tried to come and steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus came to give life and give it abundantly. Lord, give that abundant life to them as they run after you. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Steve.
Amen.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next